Welcome to another edition of Airline Profiles. I'm Jeffrey Thomas. Today's episode is focusing on Emirates, which has just turned 40 with more expansion planned. Emirates is now the world's largest international airline, and it began life just 40 years ago as a grand idea in the desert. A vision sparked in Dubai's ruling family when air travel to and from the Gulf was still limited and reliant on other nations' carriers. In 1984, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum saw that the city's future as a trade and tourism hub would depend on controlling its own air links. He asked Sir Maurice Flanagan of Donata to plan an airline that could stand on its own, linking Dubai to the world without subsidies or protection. The budget was just US 10 million, was very modest, but the ambition was vast. When Emirates launched in October 1985 with a leased Boeing 737-300 and an Airbus A300B4, very few noticed. Gulf Air dominated the region at the time, and many doubted a start-up from Dubai could survive. Yet, under the chairmanship of Sheikh Ahmed bin Said Al Maktoum, the airline grew with an intensity that soon surprised its rivals. From the outset, it was run as a business, not a national vanity project. It had to earn money, expand cautiously, and prove that surface efficiency and scale would come from the Middle East. Through the 1990s, under President Sir Tim Clark, Emirates found its rhythm. The arrival of the Boeing 777s gave it long-haul range and consistent economics. And the Dubai hub model, multiple daily frequencies radiating east and west, took shape. The strategy was simple: operate only large, efficient wide bodies, keep utilisation high, and make the onboard product distinctive enough to pull traffic through Dubai even when it wasn't necessarily the fastest connection. But more than shaping an airline, Clark was helping to shape aircraft and was the main driver of the A380 and the Boeing 777-300ER, which is the backbone of long-haul airline fleets. And it was the A380 that would hold the key for galloping demand and limited runway capacity in Dubai, as well as airports such as London Heathrow. Emirates embraced the A380 like no other airline, arguing that high-density aircraft could deliver growth, comfort and economy. The double-decker became a flying symbol of Dubai itself, extravagant, improbable, but meticulously executed. Inside the A380, Emirates turned space into theatre, private suites, an upper-deck lounge, an entertainment system with hundreds of channels, transformed long-haul flying into an experience people actively sought out. Emirates loves its A380s and is giving them a massive makeover with more than 190 aircraft, A380s and 777-300ERs, being refurbished nose to tail. The refit introduced premium economy, which has taken off into the airline's revenue profile, which has surprised many at Emirates who were late to introduce that particular class. On the near horizon is the A380's replacement, the somewhat delayed Boeing 777X or 777-9 and 777-8, which will use about 40% less fuel per passenger than the A380 Super Jumbo. Emirates with 205 on order, and it's just added to that, is the largest customer for the 777X, another aircraft born out of Emirates' requirement to handle Dubai's heat and long westbound missions. Alongside them, the airline has also ordered the Airbus A350-900s and the Boeing 787 for thinner routes and hot and high airports, keeping the option of the larger A350-1000 open pending engine upgrades. Clark's career at Emirates is inseparable from the airline's rise to become the world's largest international carrier, and over 40 years he has turned a startup into a long-haul machine spanning 6 continents. His achievements rest on a mix of technical rigour, commercial daring, and an unbroken focus on product quality that reshaped expectations for global network airlines. From the beginning, Clark treated the airline as a systems problem rather than a marketing exercise, with the Dubai hub built into a tightly banked operation linking east and west with near mathematical precision. Every aircraft order and cabin design flowed from that logic: maximise gauge and range, keep turnaround times low, and make Dubai the seamless midpoint of the world's long-haul map. His most audacious move was backing the Airbus A380 when others hesitated. Clark convinced Airbus to adapt the jet's interior and systems for Emirates specifications, making it not just an aircraft but a marketing engine. The onboard lounge, shower, spa, and ice entertainment system features Clark personally championed set new benchmarks. Throughout his tenure, Clark has remained the industry's most outspoken advocate for performance accountability. He has pushed Airbus and Boeing on weight targets, engine makers on durability, and regulators on certification pace. Product, though, has never been decoration for Emirates. It is its economic engine. The multi-award winning ICE entertainment system, onboard bars, and now premium economy seats exist because they raise load factors and yields. The airline constantly measures passenger response and reinvests in what works. And that takes me back to when I first came across Emirates back in the 1990s. I remember an advertising campaign they ran which spoke volumes for the in-flight entertainment seatback videos for economy. It showed 3 children kneeling on seats, laughing and pointing at the screen. It spoke 1,000 words to mothers and fathers who dread flying with children. There it was: fly Emirates and your children will be entertained. That loop, feedback, refinement, rollout runs faster than the cycle of new aircraft development. When global aviation stalled during the pandemic, Emirates used the downtime to overhaul cabins and accelerate its refit schedule. As skies reopened, those refreshed jets filled immediately, proving the investment right. Even cargo operations followed the same logic of flexibility and control. Emirates maintains its freight presence through dedicated 777 freighters and is converting 10 of its 777-300ER passenger jets into pure freighters. Supporting that dedicated fleet, the airline carries an enormous amount of freight in its passenger 777-300ERs. Its engineering ecosystem is another Emirates hallmark. Heavy maintenance and interior upgrades run like an assembly plant. The system minimises downtime, preserves network capacity, and supports the airline's tightly banked hub schedule. Behind the glamour of lounges and suites is an industrial rhythm measured in man-hours and checklists. Leadership continuity has anchored the airline strategy. Sheikh Ahmad has guided the airline from its first flight to its current scale, while Clark has translated the founding vision into operational reality. Together they have built a culture that thinks like an aircraft manufacturer, controls specifications, test relentlessly, and view every aircraft as part of a larger system. The Dubai hub model demands frequency and precision, waves of departures and arrivals, time to connect to Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas through a single transfer point. High-capacity aircraft make that possible without overwhelming runways or terminals. Emirates has optimized the balance so tightly that the system itself becomes its competitive moat. Looking ahead, the gradual refinement of the A380 will coincide with the rise of the 777X, or as we now call it, the 777-9 and 777-8, 787 and the A350 fleets. The transition will unfold quietly because the product is already harmonised. A passenger boarding an A350 in the 2030s will find the same cabin style and service philosophy that defined the A380 era. 40 years after its first flight, the airline remains the embodiment of Dubai's own rise. From a handful of leased jets, it has become a global connector, linking more than half the world's population within one stop. It has made a profit in every year, except for the 2 pandemic years. In FY25, it carried 53 million passengers to 146 destinations. Its fleet stands at 257 aircraft, with another 365 on order for replacement and expansion. What endures is the clarity of the founding idea. Build something world-class and make it earn its keep. The same conviction that guided the two sheikhs in 1984 still shapes the airline today. Emirates has weathered crises, negotiated hard with manufacturers, and proven that technical excellence can be a national identity. It is less a carrier than an engineering system, one designed for endurance and still flying precisely to plan. I'm Jeffrey Thomas.